First item I want to mention, and this flows from what I saw on footballzebras.com, the full list of all 17 officiating crews for 2023. All crews, referees, every other position. And it's great. It's broken down by name, position, where they went to college. If it's a former NFL player, it says so. And there's also a list of all the jobs that these folks have other than being NFL officials. And we've all known that they have other jobs. We know that. I've been for years saying that NFL officials need to be full-time employees. And there are many in the league who agree with that take. And there's an effort by some to try to push back against the, frankly, cheapness by the league. And it is, plain and simple, cheapness. They don't see what they're going to get in return for the money they spend. So they don't want to spend the money. What am I going to get for this? It's not going to change things. It's not going to improve things. We're not going to even notice the difference. Why are we going to spend all this money to make all of our officials full-time employees? Sorry, I got an itch back here. I could either wait for 50 minutes or I could just do it now. I feel better. So see, that's one of the problems of doing it like this. When it's PFT Live and it's 2 hours, I know there are going to be moments where it's just Sims on a single. So if I get an itch, I can just make sure that it's fine, or, whatever else I need to do. Sometimes you get caught when the camera comes back to you, but in a situation like this, there's no escaping it. It's on the whole time. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. Oh, when you see the list of all the referees, of all the other positions on the officiating crews, and you see the jobs next to it, it really is, wow. And think about it. Think about it. For those of you out there who have jobs, okay, I got a job. And then I got this other thing that started as kind of a hobby, and it was fun to do. And I was pretty good at it. So I got more opportunities to do it a little bit more and a little bit more. And all of a sudden I'm making money from this hobby. And I'm still getting better at it. And I'm making more money and I have more opportunities. And the next thing you know, this hobby takes on a life of its own, but you still got your other job. And at some point, you're spinning plates. And I know that a lot of you out there don't know what that means, but they used to do a thing like on the Ed Sullivan Show where one of the acts was a guy would spin plates, and he'd spin as many plates as he could on a really thin stick, I guess, for lack of a better term. And that's what you're doing with your life. You've got your family life. You've got your primary job. You've got your side job that if you're an NFL official, it's 4 months out of the year where you're traveling and you're working. And then when you're home, you have to carve out time to do whatever you have to do to be ready for the next week. It really doesn't make sense. And I know that there will be a time where the NFL will have no choice but to convert to full-time officials. They are delaying the reckoning as long as they can. And what will happen is there'll be some big shitstorm that occurs, some major controversy, and the only way out of it will be for the NFL to say, fine, we'll spend the money for full-time officials. And once we get there, people are going to be like, well, how did we make it this long without full-time officials? Like, what were we thinking? It'll be looking back at, an old photo album and saying, oh God, I walked around with that hairstyle. Like, I feel like that's where we're eventually going to be. And it would be so nice if the NFL would just get there before it's forced to go there, to choose to get there, to prevent the scandal, the controversy, the whatever it will be that will cause the NFL to finally go with full-time officials. Just make the decision to do it before the worst case scenario happens that forces you to do it, because it is currently impossible for full-time employee, people with families, and most people have families, and on top of that, trying to carve out time to be as good as you can be as an NFL official. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And in the story that we wrote earlier today on the new and improved PFT, I laid out what would happen during the season. During the season, you get everybody together in a central location. All the officials live in Dallas or Kansas City or somewhere like that, geographically neutral and in the middle of the country, where not neutral because obviously one of your assignments every year, you don't have to travel. You get to work a home Chiefs game, or you work a home Cowboys game if it's Texas, wherever it may be. You have everybody in one place and they fan out for the games. But when they're back in that place, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's when you have everybody in a room together and you go over the calls of note from the weekend that was, where there's an effort to try to ensure continuity among the 17 crews, how to properly spot this, spot that, enforce this rule, enforce that rule, what trends are emerging. Every week, spend the whole day. That's what you're paying them for. They work for you the whole day. So instead of just cramming a couple of hours into reviewing emails and watching film whenever you can find time. It's all day Tuesday. It's all day Wednesday. It's all day Thursday. You have a full calendar for these people as full-time employees who are paid accordingly. Off season, plenty of things you can do, simulations, tests, stay in shape, work other leagues, work practices, OTAs, whatever the case may be. Keep the saw as sharp as possible. So when football season rolls around, it isn't this, oh my God, I got to get back in football mindset. I've been screwing around with my other job for the last 8 months. Now it's time to get ready for football season. And, you know, the other simple explanation is this. Who else with any job of significance in the National Football League is a part-time employee? Who else? The coaches aren't. The executives aren't. The scouts aren't. Who's a part-time anything in the NFL? You're either all in or you're all out. And the NFL continues to do this because they can. It's cheaper. They don't see the benefit they're going to get from spending the money necessary to have full-time officials, so they won't do it until they have to. I submit to the NFL, you should do it before you have to, because eventually you will have to, and the thing that forces you to do it will be a stain on the game that may not go away quickly. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.